guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about what is it like to work in a hospital outpatient clinic as a medical coder. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, I'm going to talk today about what it's like to work in a hospital. What is it like when you are a outpatient medical coder? What does this mean? You work in a clinic? I thought you worked with inpatients because you're working in a hospital. So let us begin. All right. I am the current coder for the orthopedic and podiatry clinics. I have coded them for many years now. I've been in these two clinics since 2014, probably 2013 actually. But I wasn't always embedded in the clinic, in the hospital, okay? For a long time, we were housed away from the providers. We were in a separate administrative building because there wasn't enough room for us in the hospital. And when they rebuilt the hospital, we got a big, brand new, beautiful hospital. And so they made a space for the coders to be embedded in the clinics because the administrative staff felt that it would be, or the administrators of the hospital felt that it would be beneficial to the providers to have the coders on hand for any questions or anything like that. This works out perfectly. So being around them, it's harder for them to ignore your emails. They get to know you as a person and you get to know them. I share a break room with them. I share the hallways with them and they all know where my office is at. I have my own office currently. I am in the podiatry clinic, so podiatry and orthopedics are right next door to each other. And so if the ortho docs need me, they can go right down the hallway and I'm right there, right next door to them. So we are like literally on the same hallway. The only thing separating the two clinics is a door, and that's it. So I get to see them on a daily basis. They know me. They tell me they can hear my heels when you know I'm walking around in my heels. So I'm the only one who wears heels. Everyone else is like nurses, and of course them, and they're in their sneakers, you know, or they're in their boots. And I do wear cowboy boots, so sometimes they can hear me too when I'm wearing my cowboy boots. So it really all depends on what I'm, you know, how fast I'm walking. They know I'm on a mission. I don't bother them unnecessarily, but when I do need them, it is very convenient for me to be able to go over to them and, you know, talk to them or find out what's going on, especially if I'm noticing patterns in their work, in their documentation. If I notice that things are missing, it's a good chance to be able to catch them and to be able to talk to them as I need to. What's bad when you're housed away, and I learned for many years that you miss out on a lot when you are away from them. And I didn't realize how much I was missing when I was away, when I was in this administrative building. Because like I said, the hospital was too small for us to be embedded in the clinic at the time. And so whenever I did meet them, it was just like we were kind of strangers. And now that I'm embedded in the clinic, you know, these are my colleagues and we work together and we are a team. And I always tell them this too. I am right there. I am Janie on the spot. And I tell them we are a team and I'm going to work with you and I'm going to advocate for you. I'm going to do the best I can for you, but I need you to work with me. So I always try to make myself available. I will leave the door open to my office. I have a candy basket that I lovingly call the bear trap. Bear trap, if you don't know. So this is how famous this bear trap is. A bear trap is a basket full of candy. Candy, it's got chips, it's got peanuts, it's got almonds, it's got all these nice little treats in it, right? And I keep bottled water in my office as well. I do this as a draw, yes, to my providers because sometimes they forget to take care of themselves. And this is a nice break in between. And they can come over and say, you know, hey, can I grab something? I tell them they don't have to ask, just come on in. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they will just start grabbing a chocolate and they'll just sit right down and they'll just decompress. And you can see this. And I will go about my day doing my thing. But what happens is a little magic starts to happen. They'll start to say, hey, Blue, I have this question. I saw this thing the other day. And I'm like, okay. And I'll stop. We'll start talking. This opens up communication. And it was a simple act of them being able to have a place where I'm not going to put pressure on them, where I'm not going to sit here and nag them for stupid things. Because sometimes that happens with medical coders. Some medical coders will see this as an opportunity to be able to pounce and just to be able to say all these things and you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. Nobody wants to be told that they're constantly doing things wrong. My providers are not medical coders, and I tell them this. I am the medical coder. This is why I have a job. But I need them to tell me what they're doing in their documentation. And having this candy basket and their just ability to be able to decompress and just sit there and just zone out for even just a couple of minutes is a great place to bond and to have that, okay, I can relax. This person is going to help me. They know, hey, when they see Blue to the rescue, Blue's going to help. Because I will never tell them I don't know. I will always say, let me research that and get back to you. Because it's building trust. And when you get to be in the same environment as them and they see you day in and day out, you get to have that experience. And I think that's so wonderful. That's the best thing about my day, is being able to see them and to be able to work with them. Now, sometimes it will give you a headache. And sometimes I'll have to go over to their office and I'll look at them and they go, what did I do? I go, why do we have to have this discussion? Why do we keep having to have this discussion? They go, oh, wait, I know what I did. And they will know exactly what they did. And so just by the way that my demeanor, they know. And so I will talk to them and we'll start getting things sorted out. But again, it's just a wonderful opportunity to be able to be in there with them and see them and to have that conversation with them, because having conversations with your providers is so key to understanding their thought process when they're documenting. And so that's a great thing about being in the clinic. I also have the opportunity to do classes. Sometimes I get the invite to do an in-service, which I love. That's like the best day for me when I get to do the in-service. And basically I'll talk for a couple of minutes on, hey, here's just a reminder about these points and that point, or this update or that update, or we'll talk about injuries, or we'll talk about, aftercare, and we will do those things. We'll talk about procedure coding. And so those are the types of things that we talk about. I will send them a coding tip of the week. And I do that as a way of, hey, don't forget about me. I'm here. And I will send this one day a week, one day out of the week. I typically don't send it on Monday because Monday is when they get all their emails in and I'm not trying to bog them down. But usually I notice I have the most success reaching people if I send it Wednesday and Thursday. Because Wednesday and Thursday seems to be their days to kind of catch up on everything. And then they'll tell me sometimes like a week and a half later, hey, Blue, I saw your email. Thanks for reminding me. Or, hey, there's a follow-up question I have to this scenario that you sent. What about this, this, and this? And I'm like, okay, that's a good tip that I can send out for the week to come. So that's a great time to have that, again, that bonding. But it's just being in there, being in the clinic. I think it's the best thing. My area is all secure. Only staff can get into my area. So that's good. And you'll find that sometimes when you're working in a hospital that you have, it's restricted access, obviously, because, you're working with patient information. I do, the way my office is situated, I don't see the patients. I will see the providers and the ancillary staff is what I see mostly. So it's good for me. But I will see them at the cafeteria. If I run over to the cafeteria, if I go get coffee or something, I will see them there as well. So again, it's just a good way to kind of like say, hey, how you doing? Because seeing you and building a relationship is a very good thing, especially when you are a medical coder, because at least they know. And when I first got here, when I first got to my coding home, my permanent coding home, My first boss was a wonderful lady named Laura. Retired drill sergeant, right? Tough woman. The best supervisor I've ever had next to Jessica. Jessica was one of my first supervisors, and the best lady I ever known when it comes to medical coding. She's an awesome woman as well. But Laura is the bar. Laura is the bar for who I set leadership to be like. Every leader I've had after her, I've always held them to her standard, like, because she's up there to me, in my opinion. Laura always said, your providers need to be able to pick you out of a lineup. She goes, I don't know how many of you don't know who your providers are, and they don't know you. She goes, because I've been to meetings and I said, has your coder reached out to you? And she goes, and I keep hearing no. She goes, so you all need to start building those relationships, because how are you supposed to know what they're documenting if you've never met them? And I never really thought about that. I never really thought that that was like an important thing. I was a brand new coder at the time. I had maybe a year of experience at the time. Not even a year. It wasn't even a year yet by the time I met Laura. And I never really understood what she meant until 2014. And then I got it. That's when the light bulb came on. And coincidentally, when we moved into this big, beautiful new hospital. Maybe the hospital was in 2015. Yeah, it was in 2015. So it wasn't long after that. But she always said it's very important to create those relationships. And being that I'm embedded in the clinic, this is the best time for that. So it's just nice to be part of the team. It's nice to be included with the staff, not just the providers, but the nurses and the PAs and, you know, everybody else. So it's good to be part of that and part of the group. A few years ago, of course, we were doing the holiday parties, and the chief of the department, a great guy, neuro spine surgeon, awesome guy. And you would think neuro spine surgeons that they'd be very serious. Oh no. This guy was amazing. This guy was amazing. But he actually recognized me in front of everybody. It was really nice. And he's like, you know, it's because of Miss Garcia that we do so well with our documentation, and we've learned so much, and we have a lot that we owe her. So it was really nice to get those sweet words. And he said a few other things, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. Like, that's what they think of you, you know. And it was nice to have that moment, and it was a really good thing. But that's what makes the work environment for me, not just being able to code, but it also means educating these providers. You know, sometimes these providers, they're going to leave and they're going to go on to different facilities and they're going to learn different things. But I always tell my providers, I want to send them off knowing enough for them to get around on their own. I said, I don't know who your next coder is going to be. And I want to be able to set you up for success. I don't want you to be taken advantage of, and I don't want you to not know something. So I always try to set my providers up that are leaving for success. And the first provider that left, one of my podiatrists, I was so nervous before he left, and I actually talked to him and I said, did I teach you enough? Do you know enough? Can you go and be okay without me? And he said, of course. You know, he goes, you've taught me everything. He was just at a residency, and so this is, you know, his next step. And so, you know, he goes, you've done great. I've learned a lot because of you. We still stay in contact. You know, he still asks me questions, and I'm so glad that he does, because I always tell them when they leave, not all of them, but a good amount of them that have left, I've always had that door open. I say, you know, the door is always open. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm never more than an email away. So, and they appreciate that. So that's just, you know, it's good. It's a wonderful experience when you work in a hospital. People have different experiences. Before I got here, I also worked in a hospital. But I worked in the basement. I worked in the basement, and I would have to go up to the floor to go meet with the providers, because I did inpatient professional service services. So basically, I was doing inpatient but outpatient coding. And so while I would have all of my access to all of my electronic medical record, there were times when I had to go up to the floor and go talk to them or go pick up paperwork that I had that they had to sign. And so there was times when I would see them, and that was how I made those connections. We did have offices at the time up on the floor, but they were on the administrative side of the building. And then they took those away from us. And then we got them back. So we started with them, and then we went down to the basement, and then I had my office before I left for here. And so it was good because, again, there's that closeness when you're on the same floor. It was very difficult when I was in the basement because I had to go up there, or they had to come down there. And in the basement, I was in the medical records room, but I was way in the back. So they had to go through a maze. So that was very difficult. And because it was difficult for them to find us, if they didn't first find us, right away, then they just sort of sometimes gave up. And then I would get an email, hey, I need to find you. We need to chat. Oh, okay. So I would do that. Another great thing about working there at that first hospital that I worked at was that I got invited to do those presentations for the residents. Now, keep in mind, I hadn't been a medical coder for not even a year yet. I was a coder for less than 6 months at the time. And so I was already asked to do that. I'm like, oh, but they don't know how new I am. All they know is that you're a medical coder. You have credentials, and that's all they need to know, And so I was like, okay, rise to the challenge, and there you go. And so, but it was good, and I love that hospital. That hospital was an awesome hospital because they just had, the layout of the facility was great, other than being in the basement. But, it was nice. It was a nice experience. So if you ever have the opportunity to work in a hospital, it's a good community type deal. Where you do build community. Sometimes you're not always working with your other fellow coders. Sometimes you are working basically in the clinic as functioning part of that clinic. And that is what I am currently doing with ortho and podiatry. So, but anyway, so that is my experience. A lot of people want to get into medical coding simply to go remote, because that's what they see and that's what they think, oh, it's, working remotely is great. I've had my experiences working with remotely, and I don't, I've only enjoyed one experience, but now I don't enjoy that experience at all. So, but again, everybody's different, but I say that brand new coders should always strive to work in a facility because it's better when you have access to veteran coders so that you can ask questions. And even if you're not around veteran coders, even just being with the providers, and you're new, they're new, or even if they're established providers, like they've been doing doctor work for years, but they've never had a coder to work with them and to be interactive with them, that's a different experience for them. So you have to keep that in mind. So I don't know, that's all I got. But yeah, that's my experience. So I hope y'all have enjoyed today's episode. I hope that you hit that like button, because it's like a little party now when you hit that like button, right? Like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.